It sure is, and we start with Donald Trump in California. Anti-Trump protesters broke through police barricades today and tried to storm a Bay Area hotel, the site of California's GOP convention. Police in helmets formed a line to keep the crowd at bay. During his speech, Trump talked about the chaos outside the hotel.
That was not the easiest entrance I've ever made. My wife called. She said, there are helicopters following you, and we did, and then we went under a fence and through a fence, and oh boy, I felt like I was crossing the border, actually.
Trump delivered the keynote address at the state's GOP convention in Burlingame. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Adrienne Moore. Hundreds of protesters greeted Trump when he arrived for his speech at the Hyatt. Trump sidestepped those protesters, getting out of his motorcade along Highway 101 and walking up an embankment to the hotel's side entrance. The protests delayed the start of Trump's speech. The Republican presidential frontrunner took the podium just before 1 o'clock. He spoke for about a half hour, touched on many topics, including immigration, and said he will do very well in the California primary come June. CBS 13's Sam Shane is anchoring our coverage this afternoon. He's joining us live from Burlingame, and we are off to a rockin' and rollin' start here, Sam.
Yeah, we really are, Adrienne and Tony. I mean, this is a candidate, Donald Trump, who feels very good about where he is and where he is going. You get the sense that this man knows that he has the momentum. He very much feels like he is going to get this nomination, and he's going to be able to do it on the very first ballot in Cleveland. More on the number of delegates in just a moment. Let's talk a little bit about security. It is much quieter here now. The protesters have gone. A lot of the police presence is not here. But the barricades went up here last night and today. There was a heavy police presence. The CHP was here as well as local sheriff's deputies were also helping out with security. Protesters arrived here around 8 or 9 o'clock this morning, and at one point in time, 9 o'clock, they street the hotel as that group of protesters began to grow. And as you mentioned, at one point in time, they were able to break through a barricade, but did not get inside the hotel. They were able to delay Donald Trump, but they were not able to stop Donald Trump.
Even for a man known to make a grand entrance, this one was especially dramatic. Donald Trump and his entourage walked across a shut-down Highway 101 to enter the Hyatt in Burlingame through a back door. Protesters had chained themselves together across the street in front of the hotel, delaying Trump's arrival by about an hour.
That was not the easiest entrance I've ever made. My wife called. She said, there are helicopters following you, and we did, and then we went under a fence and through a fence, and oh boy, I felt like I was crossing the border, actually. You know, it's true.
But once inside, he did not disappoint the party faithful at the California GOP convention, predicting he will soon have enough delegates to be his party's nominee before the convention in Cleveland.
We're going to hopefully close this thing out fairly soon. I think that, you know, now that we cracked the 1,000 number.
Trump announced he now has more than 1,000 delegates. He hit on his usual themes: trade, the economy, illegal immigration, and the wall.
A couple of months ago, one of the folks came up. They said, you're not really going to build a wall. I said, yeah, actually, it's real easy. And I always talk about, you know, I always build a wall. I always talk about China. 2,000 years ago, they built a wall that's 13,000 miles long. We have a wall. Well, we actually need, it's 2,000 miles, but we actually only need, because of natural barriers, we only need 1,000 miles. So 2,000 years ago, they could do 13,000. Today, we can't do 1,000. So he says, you can't build a wall. It's so easy. Oh, I can just see that beautiful precast plank. Boom.
It was a classic Trump speech. He had no notes. He had no teleprompter. It was all off the cuff. It ran about 30 minutes. He hit that immigration note very, very hard, as he has in the past. Now let's get back to this 1,000 delegates. He needs 1,237 to put him over the top to absolutely get this nomination on the first ballot in Cleveland. He's at more than 1,000, he announced today, a very significant number. If he does well, as expected in Indiana on Tuesday, this thing could be all but over for Ted Cruz. Now, in terms of the other candidates, John Kasich will be here tonight, speaking at 7:30. Ted Cruz expected here tomorrow at noon. Carly Fiorina, his vice presidential candidate, expected to speak here at 7:30 tomorrow night. So the Republican convention goers here in Burlingame will get an earful from the men who want to be the next president of the United States and who want to be their party's nominee. Reporting live from Burlingame, I'm Sam Shane. Now back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Sam, I know we'll show some video of this right now, but last night's violence in Southern California really kind of scared things. We'll talk to Sam about that as well. Stay with CBS 13 for continuing coverage from the GOP convention. Sam Shane will bring us more live reports throughout the evening and tomorrow. And again, Donald Trump